Hello and good day. Welcome. My name is Roxy. I am the director and architect of the Design Science Studio, and today we are here with Razma. It is a spotlight on their work as a part of the Living Systems Art and Design Collaboratory, which is a part of the Design Science Studio. The Design Science Studio is an educational incubator for art that is empowering creators to imagine a regenerative future. This decade-long anticipatory art and design-driven accelerator is inspiring a future that works for 100% of life. And so the Living Systems Collaboratory is a program within the Design Science Studio. It was created in partnership with the Emergent Media DesignLab at the University of California in Irvine. And it has been providing funding for artists and designers like Razma to support the development of creative projects that are exploring living systems. And so today we will get to experience and hear all about your brilliant work. And so take it away, welcome, and I'll come back to have a conversation with you in just a little bit.
Perfect. Thank you, Roxy, for that generous intro, and I'm really grateful.
You know what I didn't do? I'm interrupting you because I want to do a better job at introing you. And so I want to just tell the world a little bit more about you before you tell the world about yourself, because you are a somatic sanctuary space maker and embodied empathy educator, and you have been creating compassionate corporeal culture to make healing accessible to all. And I just think that it is sometimes really important to get to feel that and hear that, not from your own voice, but from someone else's. So just acknowledging your work, I now hand it back to you.
Thank you, Roxy. And, I so appreciate your weaving in this Living Systems Collaboratory. It's been such a supportive container where we get to learn about principles of living systems and then incorporate them into our work. And I am really excited to share about Attunement Academy, which is my project. And Attunement Academy is all about teaching space holding skills. It does through a variety of means. It's a transmedia project. And one of the main forms of embodied edutainment that is coming forth from Attunement Academy is called eco-regulation. And eco-regulation translates my graduate level training to be a therapist in transpersonal somatic psychology into accessible, playful prompts. So essentially, a quick primer on the nervous system is that there are two main branches, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. The sympathetic is associated with fight and flight, those reactive, survival, activated experiences. And the parasympathetic is associated with rest and digest, mate and relate, tend and befriend, all of the kind of kin weaving and restorative, peaceful types of energy. So eco-regulation takes the principles of how to activate either one branch or the other of the nervous system to achieve your desired state. And it does so by using a lot of the latest research in somatic psychology and how to alter the activation of these two branches of the vagal nerve predominantly. So with eco-regulation, there is not only this kind of alteration of your nervous system state, but there's also woven into that a sense of how we are so interconnected with our environment and how our environment can support us in co-regulating, what I call eco-regulating. So within the nervous system, there is a lot that's modulated by the presence of a compassionate other. And my philosophy is that the earth can be our eco-regulatory partner. And this is really important in this time that we are experiencing a lot of eco-anxiety. I just read an article in Scientific American about how therapists are unsure about how to support people through the experience and the emotions that come through living through a time of climate change and the feeling of powerlessness that can come through such a monumentous occurrence that we all ideally will be addressing. And the beauty of eco-regulation is that it allows us to resource nourishment, which nourishment is my new word for nervous system nourishment. So eco-regulation allows this sense of nourishment from our natural world, which is so generous to us and so abundant. And when we resource from that place and we feel the effect of being in nature, thinking about nature, movement metaphors related to nature, we feel more embedded and more held in that web, in a greater web than just ourselves. And we no longer feel alone. And my theory is that we can only engage in these extractive, let's say, methodologies, or let's say bygone ways of the past, when we don't feel connected to the source of our nourishment, which is the earth ultimately. So eco-regulation helps connect us to this embodied, empathetic, ecosystemic sense, while also giving us the tools to be resilient in our own bodies to handle some of the more intense or extreme emotions that can come from living in this really activated time or transformative time. So it's a real pleasure to be able to take a lot of heady somatic psychology research and citations and turn it into really accessible prompts. Ideally, eco-regulation will be known by even the youngest children so that they can help each other co-regulate. And I think that this base state of nervous system peace will ripple out into broader peace on our planet. There's a lot of really good research that a regulated or eco-regulated nervous system state actually results in less of a focus on yourself and your thinking, more creativity, more of a sense of thinking about what is best for the whole. And I'm really excited to continue to engage with creating research around eco-regulation and different forms of prompts for different situations. So I like to teach the skills of know how to communicate to your nervous system. And so one of the main really easy entry points into how to regulate the nervous system is breath. I'll go through a few as an overview, which I incorporate and weave into different eco-regulation prompts. But the following are really regulating for the nervous system. Oh, hi. Do you want to come back and say?
Did I do them with you?
Oh, yeah, sure. I was just going to describe some of them, and then let's do co-sighing together.
Okay. You tell me when.
Okay, perfect. I'll invite you in. So in terms of the somatic psychology research, things such as these are all regulatory actions for the nervous system in the direction of the parasympathetic rest and digest response. So those are things like a longer out breath than an in breath. That means like really long exhalations, vibrating the throat upon breathing. So things like toning. This is where like chanting and mudras, mantras, those ancient technologies that have been used to create a state of wellness. The science really backs that practice up. Humming even is really good. And then also not just throat vibration, but like full body shaking, like bouncing on the soles of your feet is really good if you're ever kind of feeling frazzled, let's say, in somewhere where you're getting food or something like that, like a little bounce and then a little shake shake back and forth is extremely regulating to the nervous system. And if you want to, an easy shorthand is to think about your nervous system as you would like an infant. What would you do to soothe kind of the inner infant or inner child within? Let your caregiver emerge. And that's a good way to treat your body and your human animal, because it communicates non-verbally. So things like, shaking, rocking is really good. So, obviously rocking chairs, but even just like rocking in your seat. And also bilateral tapping. So tapping on one side of your body and the other. So all of, this all to say that all of these technologies are woven into the different eco-regulation prompts and really strongly supported by research, but made accessible and not too heady. So I would love to invite Roxy back to a practice that I teach worldwide. I do a lot of extreme state space holding. And this, if you remember one thing from this presentation, it would be this practice, which is co-sighing. And this is something you can do with anyone who's feeling a little bit afraid or down or disconnected, depressed. And there's pretty much no way to do it wrong. Insofar as long as you within yourself are feeling that calm nervous system state, you can then invite someone else to step into that with this experience. So what we're going to do, Roxy, it's really simple. All we do is we're going to take a really big inhalation and we're going to do diaphragmatic breathing. So we're going to inhale into the very bottom of our belly. And then we will make a sound of release upon the exhale. That can sound like a sigh, like a groan, like a moan, like a toning. I invite your expression to come out. And okay. We can either breathe together or we can alternate. Breathing together is kind of nice though too. So maybe we'll orient a little bit around that.
Okay.
All right, so let's breathe deep into our bellies. Thank you. Purring is also really good for the nervous system. Vibrating the throat is very, very good. There's a lot of vagal nerve clusters actually at the back of the throat. So I'm learning a lot more actually from the dentist too, like associated with your tongue and breathing. So thank you for joining me, Roxy. And yeah, depending on where we're at, I'm really open to questions, or I could continue describing eco-regulation.
Beautiful. That was a wonderful experience. I'm glad that we got to do that together. And it's so brilliant to get to hear about the evolution of this work and all of its applications. Really want to just commend you and appreciate you for also using this as a vehicle to go ahead and even provide some prompts and insights for people, not just tell them about it, but give them an opportunity to experience it. And I think that it is so important. And one of the things that if people get a chance to do, I can drop the links in the chat to go and explore some of the installations of your work where you have some beautiful video or photo footage of different people or peoples embedded within their environment, touching the earth and, doing some of these practices with their bare feet on the ground. And we really have become so separate from nature. And so any and all practices that not only remind us to reconnect, but give us an opportunity and a prompt that it is not only vital, but scientifically proven to help us. And that all that we need is literally right outside. And so it is only so appropriate that you are nested in nature right now. And one thing that I think would be really wonderful to ask you, hi, nature. Well, actually, for starters, tell the world, where are you today? Where are you calling in?
Yes, I am currently calling in from Ohlone Land in the Bay Area of California. I am here traveling to the Bay and doing some documentation work, and grateful to be held by this beautiful place, and also wishing for rain for this place too, and uh, I this is a place that really nourished um, my expression, and I'm really, really grateful to be held by this land and to be a steward of this space too.
Beautiful, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
it has nourished my expression as well. That place is where we found each other as well.
Yes.
Hello, lands of Ohlone. So my question for you is, how did the work of and your experience within the Living Systems Collaboratory, the frameworks, the learnings, the collaborations influence your process? How did it translate within your creative work?
Oh my goodness. Well, the Living Systems Collaboratory, I'm a huge nerd, first of all, huge, huge nerd. So I deeply appreciated the diversity of resources that were provided in terms of, mentors and speakers, and also the way that we as a cohort communicated even during presentations. I think that the Living Systems Collaboratory really gave me more confidence in the value of this work, and also the value of the embodied experiential metaphor of the body as a living system. That was a huge thread throughout the course. And this realization that visceral experiences of that uh, are invaluable insofar as they connect us to understanding that we're a community. Even our bodies are a community of cells, of different types of cells, which is why things such as eating probiotic or fermented foods will affect our mood. For example, over approximately, they're estimating over 90% of the serotonin is created in the gut, and the serotonin is a huge neurotransmitter in feelings of well-being. So just reflection on this metaphor, I think the more that we can become permeable to our environment and to our understanding that our soma is in synergy and inherently, helps us to be in right relation with our personal ecosystem and our wider planetary ecosystem, and that we can be nourished, and we can nourish what nourishes us is a really big thread throughout my work too. And yeah, it's really wonderful, like cross-disciplinary pollination and building long bridges and wide bridges across disciplines is truly invaluable, especially during this time of specialization. These types of spaces allow us to become generalists in the way that we can see the patterns that exist across all subjects. And that is one thing that I really appreciate about Living Systems Collaboratory, is it taught me to think more in systems, insofar as how can I take a meta perspective from any system and see what are the governing principles of how to relate in a good way with any system.
Beautiful. Well, it sounds like it was powerfully impactful, and I can see the threads of how it embedded into your work. And it's also, I think,
Oh, you muted.
I did this earlier.
There you go.
I wonder how many times that's been said during the pandemic.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now? I was just celebrating the confidence that has grown within you in how vital this work is, and that by learning more about our body as a metaphor for living systems, and your work is basically like dissolving the separation between our body and the living systems that we're within. The community, I love that you reminded us of that. The community that is within us is without us. Did you ever watch I'm sure you did, because you're a nerd and you did all your homework. I read all of your reflections. The Lynn Margulis film.
Wow, yes.
Right?
Oh my gosh. Like, okay, so just for our viewers who haven't seen it, which please go watch it. Just that
Symbiotic Earth.
Yeah, symbiotic Earth. And it's a scientific explanation of how life is in synergy. It is at its core, at its very beginnings, in synergy, and just provides phenomenal examples of this. And again, yeah, thank you for recognizing my blooming insofar as the other thing is that a lot of these practices I sort of, well, I went into studying therapy to try to heal a lot of kind of like heavy trauma background that I have, and a lot of these practices emerged from my own need to eco-regulate my system. So, and I'm finding, we're more the same than we are different, and that these practices are helpful for all humanimals because they're innate within our nervous system wiring. And so, yeah, the more that we can look to our, ancestors and allies and examples from all the kingdoms, including like the bacterial kingdom that Lynn spoke so much about, uh, the more that we realize we can find these mutually beneficial synergies, and in so doing, create more life for each other.
That was such a beautiful synthesis of that film. It was a really powerful experience for me to even rewatch. It's over 3 hours long, I think. It's an immersive experience to watch that film about her life. And I can only, it led me to starting to dig in more to her work and her publications. And only, I think, just additive, I felt like, as a woman, or in a female body, I identify as a woman, but in a female body, to see the advancements that she made in science in a predominantly male-dominated body field, and the stand that she took, and the unwavering commitment that she has or had in her waking life in that form, to helping wake us up to these inherent truths, that we are in a beautiful symbiotic system, and that we are made of bacteria. And like this, especially in this time where we're like in a pandemic and everyone is like obsessed with everything antibacterial. I think people are like, you want to learn? I'm completely made of mostly bacteria. I'm like, yes, it's a slightly different association. Like, it's really incredible to learn like just how similar we are with our environment and everything around us. And so it just helps us to dissolve the threads of separation. And speaking of threads, the last question that I have, and we're going just a little over time, I hope that's okay, is just curious, like, what did you need to do specifically for yourself, for your work, that helped you shift to a more nonlinear or a systemic process in your approach?
What a beautiful question. Thank you, Roxy. And it ties exactly in with the thread of, I think, being in a female body, being so intimately embedded in cycles, and the cycles of the moon and the cycles of nature. And relatedly, with the way that Lynn puts forth her work, like, you can feel the love she has for her work. You can feel the love she has for the planet. And what I would say, I have a tendency to get a little bit too deep in the perfectionism and the over analysis, analysis paralysis, over researching, this type of thing. And what really helped me realize is that ideally I'm embodying the state that I want to invite other people into. So yes, research is incredibly important, but it's actually the felt sense of interconnection that I wish to provide with Attunement Academy and eco-regulation. And I've come to this place where we are now returning to understanding this kind of somatic and more bodied intelligence as crucial in moving forward in a regenerative way and in a reciprocal way and a resilient way. And I think, we've tried other things in the past and we could take the knowledge that those systems have developed, but I'm in everything I do, I'm really interested in expanding how we can express our heart in everything. And so to do that, we have to feel safe and well resourced. So eco-regulation in this work provides that foundation to enter into flow states and to enter into cooperation and communication from a place of peace within yourself. And from there, the ripples, again, scientifically have been shown when just one person is in a regulated or eco-regulated state, they can influence others in the direction of regulation. So the more that we can hold a field of well-being and aligning our actions with our values, these ripples do have their effects. And I'm so grateful to be within a cohort with the Living Systems Collaboratory of passionate, multidisciplinary creators, and that we can support each other through these transmedia creations.
Beautifully said. And what a perfect little, I almost said bow, but then I thought plant or weave or vine, or I just feel held now by all of this and so connected to your work. And I hope that this work can inspire others who are tuning in and in the future to really get outside and move and breathe and really get curious and reach out to Razma to learn more together and to spread this beautiful work to the edges of the earth where people need it. How can people get in touch with you and how can they support your work moving forward?
Yes, great question. My email address is really easy. It's just like my name. It's the X symbol and then at raz.ma. Normally I have a little placard with my email, but I don't have it at the moment. And also raz.ma, just like my last name here, is my website. So www.raz.ma. Ecoregulation.com also redirects and will be built out as a site. And I really, really welcome cross-pollination. I think that that's where our strengths are going to come forth.
Beautiful. Thank you. So x@raz.ma and ecoregulation.com will eventually redirect, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you. And I hope that others can tune in and support your work. And this is only just the beginning. So one thing that I would recommend, if you weren't there yesterday, the Design Science Studio, some of your fellow revolutionaries participated in an event yesterday with the Future of Cities called Rewilding Cities. And
did you on there?
Yeah. So did you hear Deepak sharing about our microbiome and how important that is for our macrobiome and regenerating our planet? Yeah, I feel like y'all should work together.
There has been some really interesting overlap, and I would love to work more closely with Deepak. Yes. Yeah. And talk about having a wide-reaching platform to spread eco-regulation and other, nervous system nourishment techniques and other ways that we can remember that, the earth is always holding us, feeling gravity as this umbilical cord of the earth drawing us close in an embrace. I really wished in eco-regulation to give that felt sense, because I think that it's much easier to have aligned action from a felt sense of your values, and that's what I strive for.
Beautiful. Well, I'll see if I can help connect you, and I'm sure that the weave will help facilitate that as well. So thank you so much. It has been such a delight and honor to be with you today, and more to come.
Yes, thank you, Roxy. Thank you so much for all of your weaving behind the scenes. You are the the wolf pack mama, and we are so appreciative of you bringing us all together in this good way. Thank you.
Thank you. I so appreciate that acknowledgement, and it is with my greatest honor that I am in service and in collaboration with all of you. So thank you so much. Please reach out to Razma, and thank you, Gaia.
Yes. Bless the biosphere.
Bless the biosphere. Yeah.